Hi everyone and welcome to session number 5. I can't believe it's 5 sessions already. We are very privileged today to welcome one of my closest and longest friends here in Dubai. His name is Mr. Floyd Barrell. And we've been friends now for how long, Floyd?
9 years?
9
years.
Almost I was going to say a century, a decade, which is a pretty long time. And Floyd and I, we've sort of journeyed through life's ups and downs together. And he's really good at keeping me accountable on various different forms and areas of my life. And it's been amazing to have him alongside, especially in the area of finances as well, because one thing he does really well is the area of saving. So we're hopefully going to touch base on that today and look at saving. Mr. Floyd Barrell. So
Yes.
9 years, man, that's a long time
Yeah.
for friendship. Tell everyone a bit more, because I know you pretty well. So tell
Yeah.
our viewers a bit more about who is the infamous Mr. Floyd Barrell.
No, just your average Joe. I'm married and I've got 2 kids, both boys, Ethan and Evan. And they are 11 and 7. And my little one's a bit of a handful.
Yes, as
Yeah.
they all are. At least he's sleeping. Jackson doesn't sleep, so yeah, you're lucky on that part.
Yeah.
And what do you do for fun, Mr. Floyd, besides hanging out with me?
Besides hanging out with you, there's so much that I do, Julian, that you're not part of. I'm just joking. No, I love fishing. I love being out in sort of outdoors, just in the desert and barbecues. Just easy things,
Yeah.
where you can just kind of fade off and reflect a little.
And this guy's a very different person in the desert. So to anyone who's not experienced Floyd in the desert, I give you a warning right now if you're going
A
to
bit demanding.
experience him in the desert. Before we get into what we're going to discuss today, we'd just like to let everyone know we are practicing social distancing and safe distancing.
Absolutely.
So we are keeping our 2 meters apart from each other, and we are doing the sanitization and everything we can to
Absolutely.
practice this. So I do appreciate you coming here and actually giving us some of your interpretation and
You're
feedback.
welcome. Thank you.
Let's jump right in then into savings and savings as a whole in terms of the way you manage your finances. I know it's something quite important to you. So how important exactly would you say that particular aspect of your financing is?
No,
Saving.
it's extremely important. I mean, I grew up in a household where your parents taught you that anything you wanted or needed, you'd have to earn it and save for it. And you'd agree
Yes.
that we lived in simpler times
Yes.
where not everyone walked around with a credit card.
Yeah.
And so if you wanted something, you'd have to save for it.
That's amazing, man, because we actually, the way we grew up was totally opposite. We weren't ever taught, and this is no judgment on you, mum or dad, by the way. I'm just saying they did the best they could with the knowledge that they had, but we weren't taught to save, to, if you really want something, plan for it, work towards it, and build towards it. So it's an amazing value. that your
Thank you.
parents
I'll let my mum know.
Yes. Cool. Now, I know that you've mentioned that you've been sort of, as a practice, your parents instilled this to you as a child. But when did you really start saving towards sort of big goals for? Was that when you got your first job, or was it when you got pocket money from your parents already, or?
It started off with pocket money.
Okay.
So my parents would give us pocket money, and then I'd want to save for a toy or whatever not. As I grew older, and I got a job, it was the same thing.
Okay.
Saved money for whatever I wanted. So I bought my PS1, for example.
Amazing.
That way. You do. So I do want to say this, that sometimes you do get off track, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Where we all sort of make mistakes. So there's been a couple of years where I didn't manage my expenses carefully, and I think that's a good thing, because it reminds me today I can't go back to that place.
Yeah, it's really good. And that's a very good thing Floyd pointed out, is in this journey, we all make mistakes. And it's a continuous learning journey. And so it's not to be too hard on yourself, but to just get back on track, learn from what the mistakes that you've made, and move on forward again from that. But now, this is maybe a bit of a trick question, but how much did you know, or let me rephrase that, of the money that you earn at different stages in your life, how did you know how much to put aside to save? Was it a percentage, or did you just sort of, gauge?
Well, I kind of gauged it because I knew what my
goal was.
I had to learn about goals. I mean, this came on later on in life at first, because if you think about it, for me, savings was a natural occurrence. I didn't look too deep into goals and things like that. It was something that you had to do, and it was instilled, so I used to just do it. The percentages would vary month on month, but it was to make sure that I was doing that, and it was to instill that habit, and it was good.
It's really good. So as you can see, savings we're not all as privileged as Floyd to have had this taught to us at a young age, but some of the key principles in saving is you have to have goals. There's got to be a discipline. So you have to do it regularly. You got to stick with it. And once it's because it's more of a behavioral thing. Like everything is in finances, it becomes natural. And it becomes the same thing as brushing your teeth every morning. Floyd gets a lot of revelation when he brushes his teeth.
It's true though.
That's just shows you how well we know each other. But it becomes natural to you. Savings becomes natural. Goals become natural. And the more you go through life, I think your goals change, your savings change, and everything changes. So, that's really good, man. Very good. Yeah, and as we're sitting here, Ava's actually our director. So she's just pointed out and reminded us that, for her it's really hard because she has a goal. She has something in mind, her savings goal, and something that she wants to work towards. So it's not easy and it's really hard, but it's the motivator and the driver for you to actually apply that sort of regimen and discipline to actually achieve that. And the reward at the end, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Some of the pointers which I've mentioned to our audience in the past few weeks, I don't know if you've been watching Floyd, but we did cover budgeting, and which is a key fundamental. Part of budgeting and what we've sort of touched briefly on, and this comes into savings as well, is to being prepared for the unexpected. So you're almost expecting the unexpected. And this is quite key in terms of finances. One way in which we do this is we recommend to have an emergency fund. This is, of course, once you've paid off all your debt. And the great thing about Floyd is he's never really had debt. So he's really a living example, which is why he's sitting here with us and discussing how he does things. And the key way in terms of setting up for these unexpected events is having an emergency fund. An emergency fund is typically sort of 3 months worth of expenses or salary, which you keep aside in case the worst happens, in case you don't have a job anymore, or an huge unexpected expense comes along, your water heater breaks. With Floyd, he's very much into cars. I think he's got like 5 cars now, or 50, I don't know. But he's always got expenses related to cars, which is great. So he always has that emergency fund handy, which is another amazing attribute in the way and a testament to the way he does his finances. So. You have an emergency fund in place, right? Have you always had this in place? And how did you go about sort of starting that?
At first, I looked at an emergency fund as part of my savings. And then it was, I think, one of our conversations, maybe a year or two ago, that made me think, okay, you know what? I should actually separate that.
Yes.
And so that's what I did. So I do have something across, God forbid anything goes wrong. There is an amount of money that I can go to that will sort things out for 2 months.
Amazing. So Floyd covered something really key here, is that your emergency funds, yes, it is a saving, but it is a buffer between you and life. It should not be confused with your long-term or other short-term savings goals, which you do have. For example, pension, retirement, pension, same thing. If you have kids, university fees, like Floyd said, holidays. If you are looking to buy a house one day, any of these goals is all things that you save towards. And of course, we save to give, don't we, Floyd? Wasn't that a big
Absolutely,
thing?
absolutely. And I've seen, and I think we both, we've shared this before as well. We both experienced the blessing of that.
Yeah.
It's very freeing to do, and it's what's right. It's what we
Why
follow.
we're here.
It's the way we are, and giving is part of life.
Yeah.
And it's very rewarding, not just personally, but I've seen so much more blessings come through because of
Because
that.
you give.
Yeah.
And it is truly much better to give than to receive, and you only realize that when you're in a position to give. Like, someone once said, you can't give what you don't have, and if you're not in a position, and if you don't position yourself financially to be a blessing to other people, it's pretty sad. So yeah, save to give, which is another great thing. To wrap up, guys, we're gonna have the brilliant Mr. Barrell give us some of his tips on saving. So over to you, sir.
The key word is discipline. Once you've laid out your budget, stick to it. Do not digress. I use to track my expenses daily. I use an app. Do that. It'll bring you into a routine. And before you know it, you're tracking your expenses. You're looking into your budget. I even look at my budget twice a month just to make sure I'm in line with the things that I'm doing. And yeah, that's what I do to stay in track.
Awesome. So where in your budget line would you say in terms of priority saving?
First.
Awesome.
And that's something that I do at the beginning of the month. So
Amazing.
as today is the 2nd of June, I did it yesterday.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, so I make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm starting at the beginning of the month and I make sure I track it right.
Awesome, man. Anything else in terms of tips for saving?
No, I mean, just have fun. Honestly, Excel sheets are a lot of fun.
For
If that's your thing.
Floyd loves Excel sheets. Probably one of two people who I know who loves Excel sheets, but he does it brilliantly and very systematically. Just how he packs his car for fishing. Very, very systematic. That was a really good session, man.
Thank you for honestly. Thank you for having me, man. It's been fun.
I really appreciate you coming down and sharing your knowledge with us. Honestly, it is because you do it so well, and I've watched you and seen you, through life's ups and downs, jobs, no jobs, and you've always, managed to live well throughout, and never ever had to borrow money.
Thankfully.
And you've always been a giver, which is amazing. So thanks, guys. Thank you, Floyd.
Thank you very much.
We hope to perhaps see him again in the future. Thanks for everyone for watching, for always tuning in, for listening. Please do share this if you like it and have enjoyed it. Send us any questions you may have. Follow us on all our social media. All the links are in our bios as well. And do remember to still stay home, stay safe, and spend wisely. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.